When starting a reading assignment, it's important to start with the table of contents. You can either go to the table of contents at the beginning of the book, or you can flip through the chapter and take a look at the various headings. This will help you understand some of the key points that the chapter is trying to get to. And it will also help you organize your notes. You should be using these headings in your notes. You can see here that they are organized in a couple of different ways. You have different colors with the subheadings and things like that. Alright, so you want to kind of take some time at the beginning of each chapter to go ahead and do that. And then once you're done, you'll be able to go back and look at this, and it's a good review tool to see how much that you understand. This really does get at those key ideas. So as we kind of look at the, let me get rid of that. As we look at the introduction, it's going to be important for us to use this introduction to kind of get a sense for what government does. We're going to do a lot of this in class, so I don't really want you to take any notes while you read. What I'd like you to do is to read the entire section, all right, starting here and then continuing all the way through, including the conclusion. I want you to get a sense for how long it takes you. I want you to get a sense for how long it takes you to read 6 pages or 5 pages or 8 pages. The total reading is about 18 pages if memory serves. But then also kind of think about how you break up the reading. Are you reading by big section, as I'll call that? Say you want to read the whole reasons for government expansion, which might cover 4 or 5 pages. And then do you stop? Do you note the main ideas and things like that? Or are you going to, let me go ahead and get rid of some of this. Or are you going to go ahead and read it by smaller sections, the subsections, and figure out how that's going to work for you? Are you going to read Why Does Government Grow and then take a look at the Civil War and Industrial Revolution, pause after each of these sections, and note the main idea? You need to figure out what is going to work for you. You don't want to end up with 20 pages of notes on 18 pages of reading. I do not recommend that you read, that you take notes while you're reading. I've seen students take far too many notes because they don't understand what is noteworthy. Not everything you read needs to be added to your notes. Some of the stuff you know. Some of the stuff is just example after example after example to drive home the main point that the authors are trying to make. One example is going to be enough. Make sure that you note the main idea about what they're trying to do. Okay, so that's going to be the introduction, and as I said before, we will work through that together. Okay, now as you go into chapter 1, it's a little bit different. We do have some key information that we want to get to as we are going through this. The political culture and the core values is really the key ideas that you really want to pay attention to. Okay, understanding these things, these are those core values that at least these authors believe are those things that make us Americans. All right, that we as Americans all hold dear, and we can certainly discuss that. As we look at the rest of the chapter, a lot of it's touching on immigration and again who we are as Americans. And we will cover that in class. So don't worry about taking too many notes here. Identity politics is the exception. You really do need to understand what those are. That will be one of your key terms as we make our way through this chapter as well. But go ahead and take a minute and just kind of look through it, see what you remember, and kind of get this idea of who the American people are. All right, that's about it. Hopefully this was helpful. Please see me as you work your way through this. Ask me any questions that you might have. Again, we will read most of this textbook, and at times it is going to be very dense. So you want to use these types of tips to help you work your way through it.